just let us know. Just type it in if you can hear me or if you're having problems hearing me, seeing the slides.
Yes, everything's okay.
Everything's good? Good. Okay, so I'll start over again. So hello everyone and welcome to the RefectoCil webinar on lash curl and beard tinting. I'm very excited that everyone was able to attend today's webinar, and as I see, we have a good group joining in today, a big group joining to watch this webinar. My name is Chrissy, and I'm RefectoCil's North America head trainer. I enjoy very much working with RefectoCil and keeping up to date with its latest trends, and that is what we want to do today. We want to inform you on what RefectoCil has to offer apart from just tinting. The quality, effectiveness, and marketing tools that are associated with RefectoCil makes the brand one I want to use and makes me excited to teach others as well as you today. So what does RefectoCil have to offer in addition to tinting? Well, how would you want to complete a look with not only tinting? How about giving the lashes a curl, which can last up to 4 to 6 weeks? We see with the social media craze of lash lift, we want you to be as well up to date with the trends, but using RefectoCil. And that is what you will see today. A live demo of the lashes being curled and then tinted in order to give a more dramatic and intense effect of the curl. Now, what other trend is out there when you think of men? How about beards? The trend has exploded, and nowadays you see more men with beards than maybe 10 years ago. You will also hear of men inquiring about having their beards colored so that they can have a more unified look. For example, some men in their beards have different shades. It can range from a darker shade, maybe a black, and it could change to maybe a brown and then have some reddish undertones. So those type of clients that have such a tricolor in their beards are seeking for services to be able to unify that look and give a more subtle and intense look. Okay, so also, so how can you effectively and safely tint a man's beard using RefectoCil? Once again, today you will see a live demo on the services. I'm just going to show you quickly our 2 kits that will be demoing today. We have our, as we said, our RefectoCil eyelash curl, which is a 36 application kit. Okay, and then we have our, oh, there we go, our beard tinting kit. Okay, those are the 2 kits I'll be working out, and you'll see what's involved in them and what you will have as well when you're using these kits. Okay, so let us talk first about RefectoCil lash curl. With RefectoCil lash curl, you're able to give your client that desired look that they would try to achieve when they would use a mechanical lash curler, and that is a true curl. When eyelashes are curled, the eyes appear larger and they appear vibrant while still looking naturally. Your client, they can be perfectly styled around the clock and not with a lot of maintenance. As we mentioned before, it's the effect of how long it lasts is up to 6 weeks, so 4 to 6 weeks. And that kit that you see in the image is 36 applications in one kit. Okay. Now, what are the advantages of lash curl? First of all, the lashes do not break. When you use a mechanical curler in time, this weakens and it stresses the hair, and eventually that hair will break off and fall off. And we don't want that happening to our lashes, as we want them to be preserved. But therefore, with a lash curl, you avoid using these mechanical curlers. Another important advantage is that the lashes are not harmed by any chemical. The Lash Perm solution is made with cysteine and collagen, which nourish your lashes while they're being curled. So when people ask, is this a safe procedure? 100% you can tell them it is a safe procedure. Why? We can go a little bit further on these ingredients of cysteine and collagen. Collagen is one of the commonly occurring structural protein in the human body. When you put that together, collagen and the amino acid cysteine in that lash curl, this is proven to contribute to hair development, hence why you will never have any damaging effect to your lashes. During the treatment, all the time during your treatment, actually, your lashes are being nourished and protected while achieving fuller and groomed lashes. Okay? Now, you may be wondering, what is the difference between a lash curl and lash lift? We do hear a lot of that craze now of the lash lift. With RefectoCil's lash curl, we use adhesive rollers. With the appropriate roller size, you're able to achieve the most beautiful curl suited to your client. So you need to make sure, though, that you choose that appropriate size. If not, that 40-minute procedure of a lash curl might not be effective. A curl might not have been achieved because you did not use the appropriate size. And we'll go through the demo. If the roller is small and the lashes are long, then the lash will start to coil around the rod, which then this makes it more of an uncomfortable curl. Now, if the roller is large and the lashes are shorter and small, then there will not be a curl, or what we call a weak curvature. And once again, you do not want to be spending on a 40-minute procedure and the curl does not turn out. So be very diligent in following the protocols, okay? On the other hand, you know that you have selected the proper roller size when the eyelashes cover half of the circumference of the roller, okay? Another difference that you'll see between and now to tell you the difference between the lash lift is that they use a silicone pad, okay, with a little bit of a raise in it. Because it is not a roller but a silicone pad, that is why you get what is called a lift. Another difference is our curl is that we saturate only the center part of the lashes when it's on that roller. The lash lift saturates the entire lash from root to tip. Once again, that is why they call it a lash lift. So those are the difference that you can able to distinguish by telling your customers as well. What is the difference between a RefectoCil lash curl and other brands out there that are called lash lift? Okay. This is a positive aspect about RefectoCil lash curl also that you need to know is that you can tint and curl in one same day, in the same service. With a lash lift, you can achieve that. They use an oil that ends their service, thus you cannot tint because the tint will gravitate to the oil and not saturate the hair, and then you will not achieve a tint. So they say when you do a lash lift that you have to come back again and do a tint. The good thing about RefectoCil lash curl is that right after you've done your curl, you can tint. Only takes 2 minutes as opposed to 10 minutes. And the depthness, the richness of the curl will show even better once it's been tinted. Okay, so that's what sets us apart. And when you are choosing a brand or choosing either a lash lift or a curl, this is what you should look for, the positive aspects of it and how you can enhance your services or do an additional add-on. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will move on to our live demo for the curl lash. Okay, and we're going to bring in our model. We have our model here. Her name is Audrey. You can have a seat. Thank you. Okay, so with Audrey, we can see that it might be a little bit hard to see, but her lashes are beautiful. But we want to give a more profound look to her lashes, give her a more profound curl. Okay, so that's what we're going to try and achieve today, and step by step I will go through the procedure on how we're doing this. Okay, so our first step, which is very important, is we have to clean her lashes from any residue or any eye makeup remover. Audrey was kind enough to come in without any makeup, makes it a little bit easier, but I will show you exactly the steps. Okay, so we will have our eye makeup remover from from RefectoCil. Okay. And I will apply it on my cotton pad. Sorry. I don't have Saline Solution. Okay. So what I will do now is, as we all know, you're just cleaning those lashes, make sure that there's no residue. If that person had on, what do you call those? The, mascara. I forgot what it's called. The fiber mascara, there we go. If they have the fiber mascara, please make sure to be very thorough in removing that. It's nice when the customers come in without any makeup, but if they do and they have fiber mascara on, those little pieces of the fiber will interfere with your curl procedure. So make sure that it's cleaned properly. So we've done that for her. Now, step 2 that is very important to know is that you will need to use a saline solution. Okay, it's very mandatory. It's mandatory to have a saline solution because without that you cannot continue a curl procedure. Why? The saline solution, here you can see our saline solution, will achieve almost like a double cleaning. Okay, and it will remove any other residues left on the lashes or anything we missed with the eye makeup remover. It's very crucial. For tinting, we don't use that. It's not as crucial, but for the lash curls, it's very crucial that you use the saline solution. So now what we're going to do is we're going to saturate the cotton pad a little bit with the saline solution, and we're going to go over the lashes again, making sure she has a totally clean canvas before we start applying the rollers. Okay, perfect. Now what we'll do is apply our silicone pads. Oh, do we have that? There we go. Okay. Silicone pads can be reused up to maybe 90 times. If you are disinfecting them, like cleaning them and disinfecting them properly, you can reuse them. But what we want to achieve here is we want to place them on the bottom of the lashes, on top of the bottom lashes, so that they do not get stuck with the top lashes as we're rolling them back onto the roller, because that is very uncomfortable to separate them and you could break off their bottom lashes. So we always want to separate them. Look up for me. Okay, and then we'll place the other one as well. Okay, close for me. Thank you. Perfect. So from now on, the client has to keep their eyes shut. Okay. Now it's time to choose your roller sizes. You have four sets of sizes in your kit. You have your small, medium, large, and extra large. So small, medium, large, extra large. And majority you will go through is your medium size. And I believe if I take it and check on the side, usually this is how I make my check before touching it, just in case it's not the right size, is I put it beside her lashes and I try to see if the lashes will roll into the center of the circumference of the roller. It looks like she indeed is a medium. Okay. Now the removal of the rollers from the package. It's important, if you can see, that you do not touch the roller because it's self-adhesive and you want that adhesiveness to be pretty strong on there. You have to pull from the sides. Okay, so I'm going to pull the first rod. Okay, so I got it from the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the other side and I'm going to work with it just to apply it, make it more pliable. Okay, because it has to conform to the shape of the eye. Instead of being straight, it has to have a bend. So I just work at it, just holding the sides. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it as close as to the lash line as we can. Okay, you want to make sure it's close to the lash line and not too much skin in between from the lash line to the eyelid. If you leave too much skin between there, you're not achieving the proper where the lashes are supposed to end in the center of the roller. Okay, so that's perfect. We're going to grab the other one. Once again, just pulling from the side, only trying to hold the sides, making it pliable so that it conforms to the shape of our eye. And now we place it on. Perfect. I'll be honest, at the beginning, choosing the roller size might be something that you might struggle with, so that does take time and practice. Also, applying the roller as well onto getting that proper spacing, but in time, with the more service that you do, it becomes much easier and it flows properly, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our orange wood stick that's in the kit as well, and with this one I'm going to take and try to roll the lashes onto the roller and trying to get as many lashes as we can to stick onto the roller before I have to use glue, because our kit does come with glue as well. Okay, so I'm going to start rolling them on. Kind of, I don't know if you can see from the camera, but the majority are going on. And you want to make sure that you roll straight up. And if you feel that a couple of them are getting attached together, you can use the pointy part of your orange wood stick just to separate them. But we're going to roll. She does have some new regrowth at the bottom. So for those ones, I will have to use glue, okay? Now we're going to do the other side as well. Oh. Perfect. So I tried to get them as many lashes as I can onto the roller. And as you can see, the lashes are reaching onto the half of the circumference of the roller as well, okay? So this step as well will be at the beginning a little bit frustrating, I'll be honest, because when you don't get all the lashes sticking on, you yourself get frustrated because you want to be able to provide the best service for your client and that it turns out proper. So now I will have to use glue, okay, because there are some stubborn lashes. I believe you can see the glue right here. It's in a glass vial. It has a good consistency that it doesn't dry out quick so that I can work with it on her lashes, okay? So I'm going to take it, I'm going to apply it on the orange wood stick. I'm going to roll it on the lashes. Oh, there. You still have to work a little bit quick with the glue because with any eyelash glue, they tend to dry out faster, so you have to work fast with it as well. So once again, some more glue, rolling them on. Oh, sorry, touch your eye. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side as well. If you did get a little bit of glue on her lash like I did, on her eyelid like I did, all you have to do is take a little bit of water onto your Q-tip and just remove that. It will come off, and it will come off after the service too, because you don't want to wet the roller. You want to be careful not to wet the roller. So there we go. I will. Okay. Now the other side as well, I have to use some glue. So as I mentioned, this is the part in the 40-minute procedure that will take the most time. Okay? But once again, when you become free at using this brand, it flows. Okay. Perfect. So we got the majority. I believe I got them all. If you see a little bit more, just going to dab a little bit of. As I said, she has regrowth, so a lot of those are a little bit stubborn. There we go. Okay, perfect. So now we're ready to continue with our step number 1, okay? Sorry, I'm just gonna do one more thing. I'm a little picky when it comes to the curl, so I'm gonna be a little bit extreme, but I wanna make sure all the... Perfect, okay. So we're going to proceed with our step number 1. Now make sure in your kit you have items titled number 1 and items titled number 2. So for example, you have your number 1 bowl, then your number 1 is your lash perm. It's the first step you will be doing with the lash perm. And then you have your number 1 as well, brush, okay? Make sure you do not mix them. Use your number 1s with your 1s and your number 2s with your 2s, because you will inactivate the solution once you start mixing brushes with the 1 and the 2. Okay, so I'm going to take the step number 1, which is the perm solution, and I'm going to squeeze a pea-size amount into the container. A pea-size amount does vary with people, what it means to them, but I will show you here if it's clear enough. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Thanks. There we go. That's a pea-size amount, if everybody can tell, okay? Now, as I mentioned before in the instructions, it's very crucial how you apply it, because that's what distinguishes us, it makes us different from a lash lift. We are applying it in the center of the lashes, so you can start from the inside to out. You're dabbing that solution to the center, because that is the part of the crease that's going to have a bend. Now with the lash perm, what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to break down the keratin in the lash so it almost becomes spaghetti-like, and that after we use the step number 2, the neutralizer, we're recreating that curl. Okay, so right now what we're trying to do is the lash perm breaking down the keratin in our lashes. Okay, we apply it horizontally, sorry. And you're putting enough, and you're not rubbing it up and down, up and down, up and down, because it's only staying in the center. You don't want the lashes to come off as well, and you're putting enough to saturate it. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera because it is a clearer solution, but I am putting enough to saturate that center part of the lashes, okay? In a dabbing format, okay? Not rubbing. Oh, sorry. Okay, so I hope everybody can see clearly how I am applying it. And once again, it's going just to the center, and I am dabbing it on. Okay, this step will take 15 minutes to process. If the hair is thicker and coarser, then you leave it on 5 more minutes. Okay, so for Audrey, we are going to leave it on for 15 minutes. So I have the rest of the solution on. Perfect. Okay, so now she will have to let it process for 15 minutes. And in the meantime, while that's happening, we're going to continue with the slides on beard tinting. Okay? Perfect. So now we have that slide up on... Perfect. So now we have that slide up with the beard tinting. So as we had mentioned earlier, back in the day, mustaches, they were popular, have overcome and are becoming so trendy, just like our brows and lashes are. You see a lot of models and males, boyfriends, anybody. The beard is so trendy now. And we hear more and more men are seeking these services so that it could help to unify the color of their beard. Because as we had mentioned earlier, some men have tricolors. They might have a tricolor beard, and to them, they don't feel that's attractive, right? So they seek us the service of tinting. So let's look at the next slide, which will show a little bit of the history of beards. Why not learn a little bit of the history, okay? So if you look at the first bullet, there it talks about growing a beard has been a sign of manliness since the dawn of time. And scientists believe prehistoric men had beards for warmth, intimidation, and protection. So when we look at the section on the left, a little picture of the beard with the three circles, we see those bullets: warmth, intimidation, protection. And we see that for warmth, it said that it kept any sensitivity around the mouth, like the skin around the mouth area, it kept it safe from elements, maybe elements of the sun, the wind, harshness, because back in prehistoric times, they didn't have houses. They were always exposed outside to the weather. Then intimidation. Through a thicker, stronger looking jawline, they can intimidate. I kind of comical, thinking maybe they're trying to protect their wives from enemies, trying to steal their wives away. So they had beards to intimidate them away from getting their wives. So a little bit on the comical side. And then protection, so the beards acted as a cushion from punches or dull blows to the face. So maybe these enemies that were coming to steal their wives, then when they were in battle and they were fighting, any punches they got to their face was cushioned by this beard. So yeah, it's nice to have a beard, right? Now, if you look at the second bullet, it talks about in ancient civilization, beards were a sign of honor and were only cut as punishment. So maybe that timing, it was very predominant as well, beards, because it was honorable. And then in order to, if they did something bad or whatever and they were punished, the beard was cut off, okay? Then around 345 BC, Alexander the Great, he decreed that soldiers could not have beards. This was due to when they were in battle, he was afraid that the enemies would be pulling on the beards. Okay, so that's a little bit of history to know about beards. Now this next slide is talking about, coloring, and also to know what shades there are available in the beard tinting kit, how to use them, and even to mix them, because a lot of people don't realize that they can be mixed. So if we look at the first section of the light brown shade that a client could have in his beard, you would use our light brown tint. Now, if they were to have a more cool or ashy type of tone in their beard, then you would use the graphite. Then if they would have more of a natural brown, a dark natural brown to their beard, then you would use the number 3, which is a natural brown. And then if they had black shades in their beard, or their beard was black, but they need to just maybe unify it more, they would use the pure black. Now, you can mix. So for example, the black can be a little bit too harsh for your client because it's an intense black. So what you would want to do is you would take the graphite, and that will soften the black, will make it a more warm black, softer black, sorry, so that it's not so intense and maybe the client feels like it's a little too scary, right? Or you can also mix the blacks with the browns to warm them down. The other thing you can do is you can mix your two browns, your light brown and your natural brown, you can mix them together and create a medium shade brown for those clienteles that you would have that are medium shade. They're in between the light and then dark brown. Then you could also take the graphite, mix it with any of the browns. Why you would do that? Because you would want to pull out any brassiness, any of the orange or red undertones. So for example, some beards do have that red undertone, or the customer might be a warm tone customer, so the brown might pull out that red and their beard will eventually turn all red. So what you will have to do, just like when you get your hair bleached blonde, they will tone it to pull out any of that brassiness or that reddish undertone with the graphite. Okay, so that's how you can use the colors for beard tinting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a demo on the beard tinting. Okay, so just wait till that screen shows our model right here. Oh, we have So we not do this side. There we go. We have there we go. We have Anthony here today with us, and he will be our model. And we see that he has a fuller beard. But if we look to his beard, if you can tell, I'm not sure with the camera, but on his sides here, he has dark brown undertone, like dark brown tones. Then when you start to reach the center part of here of his goatee, it starts to lighten up to almost like blonder hairs. And then in his mustache, he has red undertones. So he actually has red in his beard as well. So Anthony would prefer that his beard was a more unified look, so that, you know, he looks warmer. He looks giving his beard a warmer tone, a total look, and a beautiful look, okay, that it's not too harsh. So with Anthony, I am going to be using the natural brown. Okay, so we're aiming to accommodate his his beard to look as the color on the side here, the natural brown. But today what we're going to do is we're only going to tint the half side of his beard so that you can see the difference. We won't let him go home like that. We will eventually fix the other side, but for today that you can see the before and after, see that difference, okay? So we will take our, now the ratios for a full beard, as Anthony has, would be using 30 centimeters of tint, or the half of the tube. So we have our brown tube here. Okay, and we see it all. So we have that. We're going to be using half of the tube, and we're dropping inside 240 drops of the cream oxidant. We're using cream oxidant because of the consistency. It's the beard. We don't want no dripping. Just it stays on better, and we have to use 240 drops of oxidant cream to half a tube of the brown tint. Okay. Now Anthony here squeezed out those 240 drops because I didn't want to stand here squeezing. We could all count together if we wanted to, but it was already prepared for me by Anthony. So what I'll do now is squeeze half of the tube inside. Anthony, can you hold this for me? Thank you. So that I can show you, okay. So I'm going to squeeze half, oh wait, it's a brand new tube. There we go. Perfect. And before I mix it, what I want to do is I want to do his prep work as well. So just like your lashes and the brows, before you tint them, you have to prep. You've got to remove them with eye makeup remover, even though men might not wear makeup, but there's oil residue still on the face. Other debris might be into the beard, and you want to be able to clean that. So we're going to take our cotton pad, our eye makeup remover. Now, what you can do before, in the kit comes this nice brush with the end that has a comb and the bottom has a brush. So what you can do before is kind of groom the beard so that there's no, maybe you can take out bigger particles that are in there, like, you know, maybe from his lunch today. I don't know if he had a sub. There might be some food maybe, but we're just going to brush through it. Okay. Perfect. And now what I will do is I will take the cotton pad that I saturated with eye makeup remover, and I'm just going to do a nice cleanse. A little bit back and forth too, so you can just get into those hairs. There's more hair that you have to cover as opposed to brows. Now, just so you know, for darker shades, like the natural brown that we're going to be using on Anthony, you will have to leave them on for about 5 minutes, because the darker the shade, for example, the natural brown and the black, they will tint the skin. And you kind of want to avoid that because it's not meant for the skin, it's meant for the hair. So because of that, we'll only leave it 5 minutes. And when you go to the lighter shades, for example, the light brown and the graphite, you can leave those on for 10 minutes as they do not have that type of staining effect. Okay? So I will take my beard brush, and now I'm going to just mix the solution. Let me spend time just mixing this first, and then I can show you what the consistency looks like afterwards. So I'm blending this together very well to create a little bit of a creamy paste, okay? So just give me couple of seconds to get that together for you. And I can show you what it looks like. Now with Anthony too, in the meantime while I'm mixing this, I can let you know that with Anthony too, if he had more warmth around his whole beard and he didn't like it, as I mentioned before, you can mix the graphite and pull in those warm undertones from the brown as well. But we're going to try the natural brown and see how it blends well with the rest of his mustache. So here, or his beard, here you see the consistency. Let's see if you can tell. It's a nice creamy paste, right? It's good? Yep. There we go. Okay, that's the consistency you want. Not too watery, not too clumpy, because you want to be able to apply that smoothly onto the beard. Okay. So now we're going to start applying it. Okay, and light, brisk strokes, and we're going to start from the side. Yep, got it. Perfect. Make sure that you did put half of the tube, as a full beard has a lot more hair, so it almost sucks in that dye. So you want to make sure that you use the appropriate ratios. Okay. Now, closer to where there's less hair, you want to be careful so that you're not staining the skin. If you see that you've gotten it a lot on the skin, take a Q-tip and just wipe it away instead of letting it process on there. Okay. Turn a little bit straighter. Perfect. I'm going to get his bottom. Now, another thing would be good is because you can have a nice towel around your hand so that if you do accident drop some tint, it doesn't stain their clothing. You need to try to work a little bit. Some of the processing on the left side processes the same on the right side when you're removing it, so that the beard has an even tone. Thank you. Okay, so getting the mustache section, center. Now that I've already used half of the solution, the half of the other one would be for his rest of his beard. Make sure you get the bottom. I will take a Q-tip after and maybe clean a little bit the spots that were there. Perfect. So we got the half side. Just get a little bit of his mustache. Once again, the dye is pretty, like, taking in the hair is taking in the dye. Perfect. So for Anthony, we will be leaving this on for 5 minutes. During that time that this is processing, we will call back Audrey and we will remove her first step of her lash curl. So let me see for you. Oh, yeah, you gotta get the center here. Thank you, Anthony. Don't want to miss that. Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do now, let me just, before Anthony goes, I'm going to do a little bit of that, just take a little bit of a Q-tip. I was pretty tidy, but I notice here, I got a little bit on the skin, but there we go, it comes off easily. You want to catch it before it starts to process. And in here a little bit. Once again, we're avoiding staining the skin. This is not meant for skin, it's meant for hair, so be careful with your customer. You don't want to give them any irritation. You want to give them a good service with good care. Okay, so he will be processing now for 5 minutes, and we will be bringing back Audrey. Okay, perfect. So we're bringing back Audrey here to have a seat. Thank you. Okay, turn right here, and your chair is right here. Perfect. Thank you. So her processing time, oh, you got a little bit. There we go. So now what we're going to do is remove that Lash Perm solution and apply the second step, which is the neutralizer. And the neutralizer is what's going to give that curl now. Okay, it's recreating that curl according to the bend on the roller. Okay, so all you need is a Q-tip. Don't have to wet it. Nothing. You don't have to sit there rubbing all that solution off because you will risk removing the lashes off, and there goes your service. So just enough to take off that solution. Okay. Once again, sideways. I like doing it so that I'm not totally rubbing off all those lashes. Okay. So enough to take off the solution. Sorry. Okay. So as soon as you have that removed, then you move on to your step number 2, which is your neutralizer. Remember, number 2 means number 2 bowl, number 2 brush. Okay, so I have my number 2 bowl. I have my step number 2. I'm applying a pea-sized amount again. Okay, I'm going to bring my number 2 brush, and once again here you can see the pea-sized amount. Okay, same as before. Okay, and now we're going to apply it once again the same way as we did the Lash Perm. Get a good amount on your brush and start applying it horizontally across to the center of the eyelashes. Okay, giving it a good amount of saturation. Perfect. Then we move to the other. Side as well. And as I mentioned earlier, this is what's going to create that new curl, that new profound curl. Okay, and this second step we leave on for 10 minutes. So it's always 5 minutes less than the first step. Okay, so whatever you do at the beginning, so say you did 20 minutes because they had coarser lashes, then the next step will be 15 minutes. But for standard timing, it's 15 and then 10. Okay, perfect. Just a little bit more I want to put at the beginning. I'm wiping out as much as I can from my bowl. Perfect. Okay, so during that time, I don't know if, Anthony, do we want to see if anybody has any questions before we bring you back? If anybody has any questions, they can ask, because then we're waiting for Anthony's processing time of 5 minutes. But if we don't have any questions, we can always bring back Anthony. But now you see the lashes, how I've saturated the center part of them. And now we're going to leave them on for, 10 minutes.
What did you put on the Q-tip?
What did I put on the Q-tip?
Yeah.
The Q-tip when I did the beard. I didn't use a Q-tip right now. Right now I use the brush with the solution number 2, which is a neutralizer.
And how important is the saline solution to the process? And can you use contact saline?
So yeah, okay, so saline solution is extremely important when you're doing the lash curl because you need that intensely clean canvas. You need it to have stripped away anything that you might have left with eye makeup remover, any oil residue that's been left over. You need it to be perfectly clean. If you don't do that, you will have problems with the lash curl. So it's important when you buy your kit. Unfortunately, it's not sold in the kit. So you would either have to buy the RefectoCil on its own. But yes, you can use the contact saline, like a saline solution from like Shoppers or grocery store, you can still use that saline as well to do the double cleansing.
So you always put solution only to the mid lashes, right?
You only put the solution to the middle of the lashes, correct? Because when you use a mechanical curler as well, when you press onto that mechanical curler, the bend is only on the center of your lashes. It's not bending your whole entire lash, which means that you're creating that bend in the center so that the lash turns backwards like a curl. So it's very important. As soon as you start applying the solution from root to tip, then you're covering the whole lash and you're probably getting a weak curvature because it's basically trying to curl, it's trying to lift the whole lash as a lift instead of giving it a curl.
I guess, but I missed the very beginning. What is the difference between lash lift and lash curl?
Okay, so someone missed the beginning of the presentation when we talked about the difference between lash lift and lash curl. So I will briefly explain that as well. So with the lash curl, we are using as rods, roller rods. Okay, they're in a roll. And the lash lift, they use a silicone pad with a little bit of a raise. The difference is the type of curl you're going to achieve. We call it a curl because with the roller, you are going to achieve a curl. They call it a lash lift because with that flat pad with a little bit of a rise, gives it a lift. So that's the difference. The other difference is they are saturating the whole entire lash. If you've seen these lash lift videos, they go from root to tip covered. We don't do that because once again, we are trying to create the curl in the center, that bend in the center so the lash does curl backwards. Their lash lift gives a lift. So it gives it a higher effect than it's shooting when the lash is shooting down. There might be a little bit of a curl to their lash lift, but we're achieving a true curl, just like you use when you do eyelash extensions, you use your J curl, your C curls. Those are curls, and that's what we're trying to achieve as well.
We have a lot of other questions, but
we do. Okay, so good. Questions are good, but because the processing time for Anthony is running over, and we don't want his beard to be too intense, and it might, he might not like it. We're going to switch now our models. So I'm going to grab Audrey's hand. Okay, and we'll answer all the questions at the end at the time. So please keep those questions still available for us, and keep questions coming as well, because with questions we learn as well, and you can have them answered right away. Give me 1 second, I'll be back here to guide. Thank you. Okay, there we go. So Anthony now sitting down. I have my bowl. So for removal, once again, it's just water. So I have my bowl with warm water. I have a darker towel. I could have used a darker towel than this, but if you have black towels, it's better because then the tint, doesn't show on your towels. But we're going to remove it just with water. Do not put any shampoos or conditioners in it. With water, it's good. Okay, so let's start this. I'm going to soak the. Okay, so we got that. And now we're going to, once again, it's advised that maybe you put a little bit of a cape on the client. So what I will do, I believe I had another towel here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start working at it. I'm going to start removing it. Okay, so this part is what takes a little bit more time. If you wanted to, at the beginning, maybe use a dry cotton pad just to take off the excessive, that's fine as well. And then you can introduce it to wet. Okay. But you could already see for wherever the dye came off, it's a little bit more darker, more uniformed looked, and we'll compare to the other side as well. So this procedure does take a little bit of a while to remove. We're reaching more of we've covered more of a canvas, right? So the procedure will take longer to remove. But I can already see in his beard and his mustache the difference already. Okay. And as I mentioned before, there's no need to, you want to remove as much as you can off so that they're not staining any of their clothes and stuff, but anything that's below the hair onto their skin, when they go home and they wash their face, that will come off as well, sorry. So there's no need to sit there rubbing excessively too much on their skin, because in their shower that will come up as well. You take off the amount so that they're not staining none of their clothing, or they're not touching it and getting it on their hands and stuff, right? And you'll see that with your towel afterwards, how much more is still on there. And you can always brush through it afterwards too, just to soften those hairs. Okay, a little bit more, he needs a little bit more. So as you can see, this part is a little bit more work. Thank you. Okay. I am going to take a dry towel as well, like a paper towel, and just go over it to dry it up a little bit. Sorry if I'm being a little bit more rougher. Anthony, you're okay?
Yeah,
you're good? Always ask your customer how your pressure, how the pressure is feeling on them, so that you're not hurting them.
I'm good.
Okay, that looks just about good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a paper towel, and I'm just going to dry up. Okay, so we're just trying to dry off. I got all the areas that there was a little bit, there was more skin as opposed to hair, so I tried to get all those areas off. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to see, it's a little bit hard, but just to see the difference, I don't know if you can, actually through the camera you can already see the darker shade. You can see the lighter shades up here that are not matching with the darker shades on the side. But now if you look at all his side, on the side that we tinted, you see how uniform the whole look is. Now another thing you can do is that if you feel, because there was more hair on this side, it was already darker to begin with, this time you can leave it less, remove it sooner, and leave the sections that were lighter longer. So you play with it just like hairdressers do. For my instance, I would have left this section a little bit longer, slightly, a minute or two, so that it even is more unified to the side. But now we don't see no red undertones. We don't see the blonde, the white hairs as we would see on this side. So I hope everybody can see the difference through the camera. And can see how an effect the beard tinting can be, and how well the service that can be that you could add on as well to your salon. Now, an important thing I want to mention as well is an aftercare treatment. So when you're done your brows and your lashes, we have this. It's a long lash gel. Okay? This is a conditioning agent, just like you would go get your hair colored or processed. We did process the skin. The hair we process. So just like when you get your hair done, they take you to the section, they say you need a mask for your hair because you processed it, it's a little bit dry. You need to keep the nutrients in, you need to keep the moisture. So same with the beard. We would take the long lash gel and we would use it to condition his beard. So you would have disposable wands because you do not want to double dip. You don't want to create any infection. So this is going to be tossed out after the use of Anthony, but please have disposable wands. So we're just conditioning his beard. We're sealing in that color as well, because for a male, the beard varies on how long the tint will last. Okay, it varies because some beards can go faster, and when you're trimming, you cut off the color as well. So, and then we want to be able to seal in that color for him. So there we go. So we've applied that, and He's not ready yet to go on a date because I have to finish tinting the solder side. But for now, we're going to call Audrey back.
We still have 3 minutes, so we can.
Oh, we still have 3 minutes. Okay, so we still have 3 minutes before we bring Audrey back. So I believe we had a lot more questions that I could answer.
I remember there was, what's the shelf life of the Lash Curl kit?
Not the complete kit. The solutions are.
The shelf life of.
The shelf life of the complete kit is 1 year, but the products inside, once you've opened, it's very important. Once you've opened your Lash Perm and your Lash Perm and your Neutralizer, make sure you mark the top, because in your kit you get 2 sets of each. You get a set of the 1s and a set of the 2s. So a set of the Lash Perm and a set of the Neutralizer. Make sure the ones that you opened, you've marked it with maybe a Sharpie. That's what I do, I put a little dot, because after 3 months, those products are expired. Basically, they're not useful. You can't use them. So if you don't do those services within 3 months for that set of tubes, you must toss that away and go to your second one. So by marking it, you know. Okay. The glue, I believe, Anthony, 6 months or
it's
2 months. 2 months.
It's 2 or 3 months.
2 months, because I know 3 months is the Lash Perm. So the glue is after 2 months, you must replace it. So it's very important you know that, because that will be make an effect on your service as well. If you were using expired product, then you're not going to achieve a curl. So it's a waste of 40 minutes. Okay. So make sure you monitor that as well. Any other questions?
Is there another way to measure without counting drops?
Okay. If you're a hairdresser, so the question that Anthony asked me was how to measure the drops another way without using the drop method, like counting 1, 2, 3. How is another way? Because can you imagine counting 240 drops? So if you're a hairdresser, it's more easier to eyeball it, right? They know the consistency, the levels of. So another thing I would suggest is when Anthony squeezed it in the bowl for me, sorry, there's still some tint in here, but when he squeezed the 240 drops of the oxygen cream, it covered the whole circumference of the bowl. So I don't know if you can tell here, the whole bottom of the bowl, it filled that to a complete level. So that could be something you can do. Maybe squeeze first your oxidant cream, squeeze until it covers all that section of the circumference of the bowl. Like it gives it a nice level. Then you know that's the amount for 240. So I hope that helps. Otherwise, you have to sit there counting 240.
Last one before Audrey, back to the lash curl. When you say center of the lashes, do you mean center as in horizontally, the center, or do you mean center vertically?
So I probably was using the wrong words. Good question. Good, because I think I was saying horizontally when it should be it should be across. So yeah, vertically. Yes. So the center of the lashes. Horizontally. Also, I was using it right. Okay. Sorry. I'm a little confused. I gotta go back to school. No. Okay. So horizontally. So across the lash line, not above, not going above or below. Does that make sense? So horizontally across the center of the lash. Try not to saturate the root or the tip. Be careful with that. Okay. So we'll keep the questions coming. We're going to bring Audrey back because we have to remove her curl, and we're also going to do a tint after we remove it. So I got Audrey here. Oh, you're good. Oh, your chair's right here. Good, thank you. Okay, so she's been processing, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take a Q-tip. Okay, I believe. Oh. Can everybody see me? Yep. Perfect. So I'm going to take a Q-tip, and I'm going to remove first. Because with anything, we don't want to start applying water right away. We want to be able to remove any excessive amount of solution.
It's a dry Q-tip.
So it's a dry Q-tip, yeah.
And the same way before the lash perm, you remove before the neutralizer, you remove the lash perm with a dry Q-tip too, right?
Yes. So both times that I've used the Q-tip, I've removed with a dry Q-tip, okay? So we're going to remove. Here you don't have to be as precise because it's the last step. We're done after this. So there could be a little bit more rubbing. Okay. We're going to remove all that solution. Now, we have beautiful YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. But there's one thing I disagree with the way they remove so I want to mention this so that you know how I'm doing it differently than the YouTube video. So when they're removing the rollers, they're taking a damp cloth and they're pulling at it and they're pulling at them, and it almost looks like the lashes are going to break off. So do not do that. Take a Q-tip, saturate the tip with water. Okay, then go behind the roller and start rolling at it, because if you were to start pulling at it like before, and especially since you've used a lot of glue, you're irritating their eye as well. You're pulling the skin on their eye because, yes, the roller has sat, as you can see here, on their eye. So if you start to pull at it, you're also causing an uncomfortable feeling to your customer. Your eyes, you know, the skin is very thin in that area. Plus, I don't want to rip any lashes off. So I'm just working at it back and forth. This might take a little bit longer than their process, but your client will thank you for caring for their lashes and their skin. Okay, and I'm all about caring for my customers. Okay, so you see it rolls off pretty okay. You can hold on to the roller and you could just hold it, not pulling it. Now, because we use glue, she still has her lashes that are sticking more to that section. Okay. Now, at this point where you've reached the tip, you could apply a little bit of a wet pad, but I didn't have to. With it, I was able to remove it. Okay. Perfect. I can already see a nice little curl. So now I'm going to work on the other side. Okay. Once again, take a dry Q-tip, wet the tip of the Q-tip, and work at it back and forth. Sorry, my hand might be in the way of this one, and then you work at it back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and you can hold the skin as well. With everything, you do hold things taut. Less pain, there's no pain with this, but just less tugging at the skin. Okay. And once again, we use a good amount of glue, so the removal will take a little bit more time. Okay.
So you should take your time with the removal. Right?
You should. You should. The point is to give them beautiful lashes, not to make them bald. Right? Not to make them lose their lashes. And you can ask your a customer, how are you feeling, Audrey? Is the pressure okay?
Good.
Good? Okay, good. Always talk to your customers. I'm working it back and forth, back and forth. Oh, that one fell off. Sorry. That one came off easily. There we go. We're just going to remove whatever glue that there was. Okay. Now with Audrey, what we're going to do is we're going to tint them, because we said that when you tint them, you get an effect out of it, right, as well. You see the curl more profound. So what we're going to use for her to tint her lashes. So before I start mixing, what I'm going to do is, because she might have had a little bit more the solutions of the residue of the Neutralizer and the Lash Perm, I'm going to use a little bit of the eye makeup remover, just to clean. And I'm sure you could probably just have used like the Saline as well, just to remove any residue so that the tint, and also little particles of the glue, please remove that. You might need to go in there with a brush, a micro swab brush to get, as we can see, she does have some glue in her lashes, so we want to make sure those come off.
What is it? What are you using?
It was just this stick, what I'm just using right now because I don't have a micro swab. If you have a micro swab, it has a little bit of a head on at the end with a little bit of teeth, kind of, and you can roll through the lashes and take out any glue residue. I'm just using the tint stick to, what's the word called, fill in the place of a micro swab. And it's raining here. We hear a nice sound. So if you hear thunder and stuff through the camera, it's because it's raining here. Okay. Let's remove the other eye as well. Eye makeup remover. And the color that we'll be using on Audrey for her lashes, which is the most popular color for tinting lashes, is the blue black. It gives luster to the eyes. When it hits the light, it gives some depth to the lashes and a shine. Okay, so
And show more blue or black?
it doesn't show the blue, as in you'll see the black, but in the light, it would almost give that illusion of the blue when it hits the light. Okay, so it's not you're gonna be walking around with, oh, blue lashes. I'm just gonna lift this higher. Now, reason why I'm taking it off, Audrey, open your eyes slowly. Okay, it's because we want to tint the bottom lashes. So I have to make her look up and go underneath. Okay, because we do not teach. Close your eye, let me see. Perfect, okay. We do not teach for the client to keep their eyes open during a tint, so that's why we do not tint individually the bottom lashes. But when their top lashes are getting tinted, the tint saturates through to the bottom and tints the bottom lashes as well. Close for me, Audrey. Perfect. Okay. Now we'll start mixing. I'm going to grab my 2.1, which is my blue black. Everybody can see. Perfect. Nope. Oh, sorry. It's my 2. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Anthony. So we have Anthony here. It's my 2, my blue black. Okay. That's the one. 2.1, sorry, was blue on its own. Okay. So for the tinting, we know for lashes and brows, we use 2 centimeters of the tint, or 3/4 of an inch, to about 15 drops of the cream or 10 drops of the liquid. I like using cream, so I'm going to use 15 drops. So I'm going to place my 2 centimeters. So that's about my 2 centimeters. Okay, perfect. And now I will take my oxidant cream. Some cream. Anthony, do you have the oxidant cream?
Yes, I do.
Don't worry, thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna put my 15 drops. Okay, and now what I will do is we have our blunt brush here. RefectoCil comes with brushes, so this is my blunt brush right here. A nice blunt tip, so that I can apply the tint to the eyelashes. So I'm going to mix it. I can show you the consistency after again. Once again, it's a creamy consistency like Anthony's beard that I showed you. Take about 30 seconds to mix it so you can get a good mixture, good ratio. Okay, so make sure to upsell that. Make sure to tell your client when they came in for a curl to get a tint as well. Maybe do a package of a curl and a tint together so that they can have the true effectiveness of the service of the curl, with the tint. Okay, so I've mixed it. I can show you the consistency without dropping any. Okay, wait till it clears up. I don't know if that's clear for you guys. It's clear enough, right? But we all know the consistency, right? So there we go. Okay. Now, if you do put, I personally am careful when I put the lashes. If you want to use protection cream along the lash line, you can. But I avoid that stuff and I go straight to applying the. Okay. Now that she has a curl, it's going to be a little bit harder. I'll make sure you keep your eyes shut. Okay. I try to get the bottom ones first since they're sticking up because of the curl now. So they stick up even more. And then I move closer to the lash line. So I put a good amount at the tip of her lashes and I move then upwards to the lash line. Okay? Kind of hard to see in the camera, but by me explaining it, you can get the gist of it. So hold down the tips of the lashes and then move up close to the lash line. Okay, cute. And you want to make sure you saturate lashes. It shouldn't be like a clean job where you don't see the tint. You need to be able to see the tint on the lashes, okay? So you see I'm applying quite a good amount to her lashes, okay? Now I'm going to work on the other side. It's raining cats and dogs here very heavily. I think there's a little bit of a hail. Okay, keep the bottom lash, the curl lashes a little bit down. And remember how I differentiate, like how I said that a lash lift, a little bit of a con of a lash lift is because you can't tint after it. So with RefectoCil Curl, you can tint. We don't use any oil residues until you're done both services. We apply after the conditioning agent. Okay, that long lash gel. And we're going to leave this only for 2 minutes because the lashes have been processed with the curl. It's only 2 minutes. If it was on its own, we know that you leave the tint on for 10 minutes in general.
So it's very quick then.
It's very quick now, exactly. Very, very quick. So within that 45 minutes, you should be able to get a curl and a tint. Just gotta get our corners in there. Okay, so we're gonna leave that on for 2 minutes. And meanwhile, I believe we can go back to answering questions, right? So if anybody has a question, Anthony, you can throw them at me. If anybody has any further questions, please.
I think there was.
Please let us know. Okay. I can always grab.
What are the processing? Sorry. What are
Okay.
the processing times again for fine to coarse lashes?
For the curl, right? Okay, so for fine lashes, like for the normal lashes, it's 15 minutes, the first procedure, which is the lash perm, and then the second procedure, which is the neutralizer, is 10 minutes. So always 5 minutes less from your first one. So 15, then 10. If the lashes do become coarse and thicker, then you go 5 minutes more. So you go 20 and then 15. Okay, so that's how you gauge it. If you want to leave it longer, just for a regular customer, go ahead. But usually for coarser and thicker, you go 20 and then 15.
And then Audrey.
Oh, it's been 2 minutes already for this side, right? Okay, so it's been 2 minutes already for this side of her eyes, her right side, my right side. So I'm going to start removing it. And remember, always remove with dry first, especially the eye area. You do not want to risk getting tint into the eye and irritating the customer because it does burn. So we're going to start taking a dry Q-tip and rolling out that tint. Rolling it all out. Okay. I'm going to wait like a little bit, 30 seconds on this side, because we did 2 minutes on that side and this was still working. You think it's okay?
I think it's okay.
Okay, so we'll remove it. Okay, dry first. Remove all the excess amount. Oops, sorry. And same with the lashes. I've heard that people put shampoo in their water and then wipe off the lashes. No, we don't do that. Always just water. There's no need to use any conditioning, any shampoos to remove the tint from the lashes. Okay, so I am trying to remove as much as I can before I introduce the water. So the Q-tip is starting to get light, which is good. And it's also good to ask your customer with a tint, especially on the eyes. Audrey, how are you feeling? Okay?
Okay.
Do you feel any burning? Okay, she said a little bit, and I like her to be honest with me like that. So Audrey, was this your first time doing a tint?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's her first time doing a tint. We did do a patch test on her yesterday, and she was okay. So that little bit of a burning she's feeling is because it's just her first time. If the burning starts to become more extreme, then you have to do an eye wash rinse. Okay. So now I'm going to do some cool water to her eye, so that will help with a little bit of a burning. Always ask your customers. Don't wait till it gets worse the burning. Which eye was burning more? This one. Perfect. Okay, so I will apply this cool. And usually that helps. Audrey, does it feel a little bit better, the cool? Okay. So I'm dabbing at it just so the rest of the tint can go into there. And usually with the silicone pads, it's kind of hard to pull together, but I try to do that where I grab the top part. Still keep your eyes closed, okay, Audrey? And then I try to pull it out. She still has to keep her eyes closed. I can already see that her lashes have gone darker. She did have a little bit of a medium brown shade in her lashes, so they do look like she has mascara on right now. Okay, so I do the same thing on this side, and it feels good. Yeah. Usually when you apply that cool damp, everybody loves it. But once again, if it starts to become very irritating, you have to do an eye rinse. Remove that tint as fast as you can and do an eye rinse. Okay, so we're going to pull that again. Okay, she still has to keep her eyes closed. And then I'm going to damp again the water on the cotton pads and just work at it. They do look pretty dark. Very nice. Very, very nice. And they have a nice shine too, because we use that blue black. Kind of hard to tell on the camera, but hopefully you can see a little bit of the darkness that she has in her lashes now. Okay, I'm gonna take another Q-tip. And I'm going to ask Audrey to open up her eyes slowly. Open up your eyes slowly. Good. And I'm going to clean underneath, just in case I got anything underneath.
It looks like she has mascara.
So this is the eye that was a little bit irritating to her, but it will settle down a little bit. Perfect. So now she has a more profound look of her curl as well. So I don't know if we can see from the side of the camera if it's clear. But look straight, Audrey. Her curl is so much higher now. Before she had a slight curl. Now her curl has been achieved, and it's almost like she's put mascara on. And she, some people put 3 layers, 2 layers of mascara so they can get that curl. She has it without any mascara on. Okay, so hopefully, I know it's kind of hard to see it now on the camera, but once you start doing it yourself, you will be amazed with the results. Okay, so always a tint after a curl because the enhancement of it is amazing. It looks beautiful. Do we have any questions that we want? Do we have? Okay. Give us a minute so that we could see if anybody has any questions for us.
And we're good to go.
And thank you, Audrey. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, one thing I forgot with Audrey, which I can't really use it right now because I used it on Anthony's beard. Then I have to grab a new one. But what was that? It was our long lash gel. So I'm going to grab a new one afterwards, and I'm going to put it on her lashes because what I want to do is I want to condition her lashes because we did a double processing. We curled and then we tinted. So I want to condition them, seal in that color, seal in the nutrients, and she's ready to come back in 4 to 6 weeks for her next treatment. Okay, thank you, Audrey. Thanks. Okay, now we'll wait and see if we have any.
We have a lot of questions.
We have a lot of questions. That's good. That's really good.
How do you wash the silicone pads?
How do you wash silicone pads? Okay, so the silicone pads, what you do first, what you can do to avoid using soap and water and all these steps, we have our Preempt wipes. You might have heard of Preempt. If you're an esthetician, you clean your tools, you disinfect and clean your tools with this brand Preempt. So we have wipes, ready-to-use wipes, which you can use the one side of the wipe to do the cleaning, 30 seconds of rubbing, like cleaning the pads, and then you flip the sheet on the other side, and you saturate the iPad, the silicone iPad, and then you let it the time of 3 minutes, and then you dry it, and it's ready to be used to the next customer. The more you use them, the more you use the Preempt wipes, the less the silicone pads will last. Like you could get up to maybe a 90 usage of them, but that's the cleaning and disinfecting is what's going to make them last less. time.
Then I think it's regarding beard tint. Is there a particular direction to remove the dye?
To remove the dye? There's no particular direction because I went back and forth too with my towel because the tint is embedded underneath the hair. So if I were just to go one direction, like downwards, then there still would be tint in his beard. So I go both directions, down, up, down, up, down, up, and until you see that there's no more tint on the towel.
How long does the beard tinting last for?
Okay, good question. We were talking about this before, that if anybody asks. So it varies. Okay, when we say brow tinting, for example, we say it should last 4 to 6 weeks, right? For the beard, because there's also a bigger surface, because also the hair it grows, because you trim it afterwards and you're trimming off the color that you tinted, it varies. Okay. Also, if the customer is brushing it a lot, washing it a lot, rubbing it a lot, shampooing it a lot, these make the effect of the tint last less, unfortunately. So it's how you take care of it. And if you were to, what you can do as well is you can purchase the long lash gel. Like you can sell it to your customer, and they can keep on using that daily, so that they can seal in that color. Yeah.
Is it possible to tint the lashes before the service?
Before the curl. Okay, you do not you do not tint lashes before the curl, because the solutions in the curl, for example, the Lash Perm, the Neutralizer, they have, like we said before, they have agents in them that are conditioning, that are nourishing the lash, so that will strip away the tint. So you shouldn't do it that way. The proper step is curl first, then tint afterwards.
How long did you neutralize?
Sorry, say that again?
How long did you leave on the neutralizer?
The neutralizer was a step number 2, so we only left it on for 10 minutes. Because with Audrey, her lashes were not thick, they were not extremely thick, they weren't coarse. So I went with the standard time of Lash Perm 15 minutes and Neutralizer 10 minutes.
And if they're coarse and thick?
If they're coarse and thick, then you add on 5 more minutes. You go 20 minutes and then 15 minutes for the second step. So always it's a 5-minute interval to the next. Yeah.
I had a question regarding the Q-tip. So before the neutralizer, you went over the lash to the Q-tip. And did you apply anything to this Q-tip? But I think it's the one that was...
Oh, this is the one that we answered earlier. So when we brought Audrey back and we were removing either the Lash Perm or the Neutralizer, I use a Q-tip. That Q-tip has nothing on it. It's completely dry. All I'm doing is just removing that excessive residue from the step number 1 so that I can apply step number 2. And I had just mentioned, try not to, be rough when you're removing that step number 1, because you're going to risk letting the lashes fall out. And we don't want to start applying water or anything to that, because the lashes will fall out. So it's just dry Q-tip.
An interesting one. If they have a previous lash curl and now want to do a tint, do you leave for 2 minutes or 10 minutes?
So if they did a lash curl the same day or a day before?
This is the question.
So the question was, if they did a lash curl and they're getting a tint the same day, how long do you leave it on? So as I mentioned with Audrey, we only left it on for 2 minutes. Standard time is 10 minutes. If they're coarser, it's 15 minutes. But when you tint, because you've already used the step number 1, the Lash Perm, where you've broken down the keratin and then you've opened up the cuticle of the hair, it's freshly open, freshly being able to process the tint. So you don't have to leave it long. You could go up to 5 minutes if you want, if the lashes are coarser, but Audrey's lashes instantly grasp the tint in those 2 minutes because of the processing that we did before.
So if there was a 24 hours difference, then you would put on for 10 minutes, right?
If there was a 24-hour difference, yeah, I would. I would kind of see that the next day. That would probably have to go back to 10, because then the hair of the cuticle is healing itself back. Not healing, it's closing itself back. It's fine for the next day. So I would probably go back to 10 minutes. But you can test it 5 minutes or 10. But if you want to be safe, you can leave it on for 10 minutes the next day.
How long does the curl last on lashes?
Okay, so we say 4 to 6 weeks. And once again, that depends on as well the way that you're treating your lashes, the way that you're rubbing makeup off, the way that if you're starting to apply heavily oily lash serums or stuff like that, they could make the curl less effective to last the 4 to 6 weeks. But you should have up to a 6-week wear with the lash curl.
Any aftercare for the lash curl? No water for 24 hours.
Yes, so try not to saturate with anything you do. Even when you do a tint, don't try not to wet that area. So same with the curl. Try not to wet your lashes. Work around the lashes for 24 hours, and then your aftercare would be the long lash gel. Okay, it's not major aftercare just like with eyelash extensions and stuff like that. No, you can sell to your client the long lash gel, and they could use that to condition the lashes and to keep the service strong.
Is the glue used similar to false lash adhesive?
I don't believe it's the same glue as the false lashes, because the glue of the false lashes, I was told they're extremely stronger in concentration of whatever that glue is, because it has to hold the lashes together. So it's not the same, but it could be similar to it. So I wouldn't suggest, if you wanted to use that glue to do lash extensions, I don't think it would work. What else was I going to say? I don't know if that helps the questions, but it's not the same. It's not the same glue. Although you have to work fast with this glue too, because just like an eyelash extensions, you have to work fast with the glues because it dries very quickly. So as I was applying it onto Audrey's lashes, I could see it myself that it starts to get a little bit stringy because it's hardening. So just make sure you work and you dab it in the areas quickly. You can always have, if you want, have a disposable pad wand or something like that, so you can put it directly on the lashes. I use on the orange wood stick because, once again, trained as an esthetician, I'm trained not to double dip with anything we use.
What would you charge for the curl?
For the curl, we say, once again, this depends in your location, on where you're located. I've heard some people charge $90 for a curl, which I believe it's way too high, but because they're located in Yorkville area, or like, I don't know if you're from Canada or Toronto, more expensive area. We say roughly $40 for the service. So it can range from $35 to $45 maybe, the price. But your revenue that you get back from just one kit is amazing. I believe we said it's about $1,440 that you get back in revenue.
Yes.
Yes, you get back about $1,440 just for a $109 kit. Well, the prices range, once again.
Yes.
We can't really give prices because they're ranging. Yeah, they range. So it depends, yes, once again, on how you get it. But your revenue is amazing because, why? Your cost per use, like your supplies, are very minimal. You're not spending a lot on supplies. So, yeah, hope that makes sense.
What about the brow tint for the charge? Like, how much would you charge for it?
For brow tint or lash tint?
Brow tint.
Oh, brow tint. Brow tint varies again from $15 to $25. I personally, because I'm a mobile spa, I charge $15 for the brow, and then you can always do a combo for both. Why not upsell? While I'm doing my lashes, while I'm tinting your lashes, why not tint your brows again also as well, so you get a double treatment in one day.
Is this a permanent or temporary color?
It's not. They do say it's permanent, though. They do say, okay, semi-permanent, they say it is. So almost like some box-haired colors that say semi-permanent as well. So that's why up to 4 to 6 weeks you will have, what's the word called? A fading of the color.
How much would you charge for each of these? So you say for the brow tint, you say for the lash curl, for a beard tint.
Okay, once again, these prices are varying, and your location, where you're from, States, Canada, whatever, they vary. So roughly what we would give here, we would say $15 to $25 for a brow tint, $20 to $35 for a lash tint, and then some range from $40 to $60 for a lash tint. But that once lash curl, thank you, lash curl.
And the beard?
And the beard, that varies in prices extremely. We did a little bit of a research, and we saw that about $35, I believe, actually we saw, $35 to maybe $45 is to color a beard. So you're trying to figure out for your labor of what it takes more time, because they have more hair on the face, and because you're using more product, your price will go higher for the beard, to cover the beard. So 35 to 45, but it doesn't take that much timing as a lash curl, so I wouldn't go higher than that in pricing.
So we still have questions. We have 1 minute left.
Okay, we only have 1 minute left. I can answer one more question, but all the other questions, Anthony can provide an email. If you type it in, Anthony will type in the email into the the discussion box, sorry, whatever you call that. She'll type an email, copy that email, put it aside somewhere, and always call us and ask for our assistance with using these products. So let me answer one more question.
Would you recommend it for people who wear contacts?
Yeah, people can get these services done, but it's very important that they remove their contacts. Always make sure. I've heard people do services with their contacts on, and it's just, you're asking for trouble. So either the customer brings their kit with them, or you might have a kit with Saline Solution, like with the solution there available for the customer, but please take them off. Take off the contacts.
And then we will answer them.
Okay, so Anthony put the email into the discussion box there. Please copy it. Please use it. If you end up buying our kits and stuff like that, and you need help with us, you need help with me or Anthony with any questions, please feel free. Once again, my name is Christy, and I want to thank all of you for attending this webinar, and I hope it was explanatory and it helped you guys a lot to stick with RefectoCil and expand your services with RefectoCil. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.